Alright, we're starting off phase 2 of the 12-week plan. This is going to be day 1, legs. We're jumping right into phase 2. In our prior 4 videos, we were doing phase 1. You know, most phases last 3 weeks. Well, we're not going to do that because we don't really have time. We're just testing this plan out to making sure it's working, if we need to switch anything out. So, these phase 2 is going to be... Yeah. Let's pretend we didn't just see that.
It's called mobility work, damn it. Buff dudes got to worry about mobility too. Can't be stiff dudes.
Stiff dudes would probably not be a very good YouTube channel name, by the way. So if any of you are thinking about making it, I might advise against it. How many days are in phase 2, Brennan?
It's increased to 5 days.
Nice, nice. So we'll be doing these next 5 days in phase 2, and then after that we're going to be jumping right into phase 3. But having said that, let's get started with some squats. It's going to be 5 sets, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4. Hell yeah, let's do it.
Buff dudes always got to wear protection. No, got my rubber on. Oh yeah. No, we're just doing some mobility stuff, kind of getting those glute meads fired up, you know, some band walks. But also a little tip here, if you feel like you're externally rotating your legs as you're pressing up in the squats, just wrap one of these bands around your leg here, right below the knee, and it's going to force you to push those knees out. So when you're squatting, it's really training those glute meads to fire up, and it's working them a little bit more. So as you squat down, you're forcing yourself to pull this band apart, and it's activating those glute meads. And as those get stronger and stronger, you can help create a lot more stability in the hip joint and a lot more torque in there. And it's going to help you push up more weight in the long run and save your knees. So we're going to start off with the 12 reps, a little bit lighter weight, and I'm going to actually be doing the squats with the band and just kind of getting those glute meads fired up and ready for the heavier weights. Feeling that burn in the glute med. Glute med, of course, is short for glute medius or gluteus medius, which is a small muscle group located more on the upper side section of your gluteus maximus, which is the bigger portion of your butt.
It's a little risque. Taking it off. It's like a garter belt. Whoever catches this gets to marry a buff dude. Our neighbor's a 300-pound, 50-year-old man. I just heard him catch it. I got my work cut out for me.
So a lot of people might have a hard time getting that full range of motion on the squats, and it could be due to several things. One very common thing is having really tight hamstrings, or even, of course, poor form as far as like how to, you know, really get that hip hinge, really where you're pushing the hips back. But of course, if your hamstrings are really tight, it's going to limit your range of motion here, because as the lower you go, you're going to compensate by that hip turning inward, as they call the butt wink. So if you feel like you're a little tight, you're still working on your flexibility, but you do want to get deeper squats, what you can do is just throw some 10-pound plates here and just elevate the heels, which a lot of like weightlifter shoes or squatter shoes, you'll see they actually do have an elevated heel anyways, and this is actually for a little bit better form on that one. So we're just going to kind of go through a couple of these. You know, form, of course, you still want to push through those heels, but with this, the pressure's going to be a little bit more on the toes. It's going to take a little bit less, it's going to take a little bit more out of the hamstrings and put it more in the quads, but this is going to increase your range of motion, of course. So we're going 225 on this. We're going to go for 10 reps, and we're going to try to get as low as we can. Okay. Alright, feet elevated. Oh yeah, nice and low. See, you kind of just sit right back down in here. Don't feel too much tightness in the hamstrings. And then press straight up. You know, you're still pushing through the heels, but of course now that they're elevated, it's taking a lot more off of the hamstrings. Push back in the hip, still hip hinging, getting that hip crease way below the knee, and then pushing up from that position just like so. Oh yeah. last reps. Yeah. One more for 10. Oh man, that felt pretty good. Didn't really feel like my hamstrings inhibiting my movement as much as they normally do with just flat feet. So give it a try and see what you think. Next up, step ups. 4 sets, 10 reps each leg. So this is gonna be a unilateral exercise, focusing on one leg for those complete 10 reps, switching out for the next one, and then so on. So with these ones, the mechanics of it is going to really be working the glutes. So you try to find something that the hip crease is slightly below the knee joint here. It's going to give that nice full range of motion. If you can't find anything, or if this position's uncomfortable, don't worry, just find a smaller step. So that way it's a little bit more of a 90-degree angle, or even slightly lower than that, or higher than that, and then step up from there and work up to a fuller range of motion. Of course, we're adding some weight to these, and yeah, so we're going to get to it. And feel free to use really anything to step up on. Right now we're just using our actual steps into the house. Okay, here we go. Try to keep the tension on the leg, the leading leg here. Really push with the leading leg and then slowly let it down to the bottom position. Try not to push off with the other leg and create that momentum up where it's not really working much of the leg. So really try to push straight through the leading leg and back down in a nice little controlled manner, just like so. Bar.
Oh, whoops. I was just about to talk. Okay, here he is.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
I was going to say trap bar, but
Hex bar, trap.
Hex bar isn't all. Shit, there he goes interrupting me now. I was going to say, or hex bar is an alternate, if you want to use either or. Depending on what group you're with. So if they say trap bar, you could say also known as hex bar in some select elite fitness circles.
Like us. No, not really.
Like elite fitness circles in backyards. two sweaty dudes with beards at a backyard somewhere.
Yeah, most high-end equipment, as you can tell. No, but these ones, hex bar, trap bar, called either one. They're trap bar deadlifts or hex bar deadlifts. Is of course the deadlift meaning that you're performing the exercise in a dead weight, pretty much a dead position. Where squats, you're receiving the weight and lowering it down into the flex reflex, or the stretch reflex, excuse me. So when that muscle reaches that full stretch, much like a rubber band, it's kind of building that energy up, and then you're releasing it, and it's going to allow you to kind of rubber band the weight and allow you to push a lot more weight in that sense, reaching that stretch reflex. So with these ones, it's at a dead weight, so you're going to approach the bar, and from this position, of course, everything's, most everything's in more of a relaxed position. That's why you'll see a lot of guys in a standard deadlift kind of activate their hamstrings before they do the full pull and then drop down the weight from here. But the good thing about the hex bar or trap bar deadlifts is that you're in a more neutral position with your grip, so that way your torso can be more vertical. So if you're kind of having any lower back issues or problems or pains in a standard deadlift that is of course front loaded and the body's going to be compensating because of that, with the hex bar, trap bar deadlifts, is fixing that position where now you're holding the weight in more that neutral position and allowing your body to be able to, that vertical torso, and being able to get that straight push and or pull, depending, start with the push and then start pulling from there. So these right here can actually be a lot more comfortable for someone going through any kind of lower back pains and build up that strength. And if you do want to do the conventional deadlift, of course, these will help build that strength up in that lower back and then continue on there in your lifts.
Something just really quick tip too, as far as like any deadlift is concerned. When you're performing the deadlift, you want to keep your eye line straight throughout the duration of the exercise. I mean, God, we've seen some people on some, you know, tutorial YouTube videos, and I mean, their neck is just like pulled up just like this through the whole duration. Just, keep that eye line straight. All right, moving on to lateral box squats. 3 sets, 10 reps. 10 reps each side.
It was feeling good. Really putting that, you know, that pressure and stress on that gluteus medius, also the maximus as well. And what you want to do is keep those toes pointed forward on this lateral box squat. So if your toes start drifting apart, you know, really gonna ruin that form. A lot of people, you'll see people performing this and the toes are drifting apart. Really keep those toes pointed forward, just like so. It's gonna get that proper form, making sure everything's in line, but it's also working on that ankle mobility too. Once you reach this position, this leg somewhat straight, can be slightly bent, but straight for the most part, and then you're gonna be, of course, pushing off with this leg, just like so. Nice wide stance, obviously wider than shoulder width, and you're just pushing that hip out. You're gonna touch that box, slightly sit, and then push off into the starting position again. And of course, we're adding some weight to it, so we're just grabbing a kettlebell, but you can also utilize a dumbbell too in a vertical position, just holding it here, and rep it out from there. So unilateral exercise, of course, working on one leg individually. Again, like we preach so much, is really working on any kind of asymmetrical problems in the body and really trying to key in on any weaknesses. So if you do have any weakness, or if you feel like one leg is kind of turning in other than more than the other on normal squats, you can really try to fix this and strengthen that gluteus medius and glute muscle and help support that knee on any kind of heavy pressing movements.
You may recognize this chair from the Buff Dude's Bodyweight Exercises video. Still going strong. Thank you, IKEA. One day this is just gonna blow up into a million pieces as we're doing like a 405 box squat. But thankfully you'll be there because we'll be recording it, no doubt, at the time. Make for a good fail video. RDLs. Sound like a wrestler's acronym? Well, maybe, but it also stands for Romanian deadlifts, and we're doing 3 sets, 10 reps. All right, ending this workout with seated calf raises, 4 sets, 10 reps. After this brutal leg workout, this one almost seems easy. Remember, slow and controlled. Don't bounce that weight up and down. Nice and slow. All right, there we go, dudes and girls. Day 1 of phase 2 in the books. Brandon's wrapping up the last little bit of his calf raises, and we will see you next time for day 2 of phase 2, backyard workout style. Till then, stay buff.